What's up? I hope you're having a blessed day. I was reminding myself at the beginning, do not say, it's been a while since I made a video, because I always say that. I just said it, but I thought that was pretty funny. Um, yeah, I hope you're doing well. It is springtime, yay! And although here it's been overcast, it's been raining, so I haven't really gotten to go outside, but I do love the rain. I was letting my dogs out earlier and it's like raining. And do you ever get the urge, maybe it's just me, do you ever get the urge to just stand out there in the rain, kind of like Batman, just like have it wash upon you? I don't know, I love the rain. I love the smell of the rain. There's just something very soothing. Um, Sometimes I just feel like I just want to stand out there, but I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't. Anyway, yeah, I think the night before there was a lightning storm, which I do see a lot of lightning symbolism as well, synchronicities. So that was interesting. And then I mean, see a lot of squirrels. Squirrels. I saw. Oh, I saw the cutest thing today. It was this morning. I looked out the window and I saw like these two squirrels going under the fence, and it was like a bigger squirrel and a little squirrel, and they were they started climbing up this tree, and the big squirrel was like helping like push the little squirrel up, and they were just like helping lift the other one up as they're like going up this tree. It was so freaking cute. Um, yeah, I see a lot of squirrels too. I saw one last week when I went to the dentist. It was like I have a video of it. It was a little squirrel that was snacking on a rock, and I was just sitting there recording it. And then a car drove by and spooked it. But yeah, I see a lot of squirrels, which I think is it's like symbolism for resourcefulness, sort of that play can be balanced with work, and like saving up, and let me see, what was it? Playfulness, balance, preparedness, resourcefulness. A squirrel encourages planning for the future while enjoying the present moment. They represent adaptability, energy, and a reminder to let go of unnecessary burdens or worries. Yeah. Like they're sort of like it's like they're sort of whimsical and they're playful, yet they're always working. They're always, I don't know, they're always up to something. That's why I love them, because they're just like full of life, and they're always, I don't know, it just seems like it would be a good time to be a squirrel, like besides getting like chased by other creatures or whatever they have to go through, but like I don't know, squirrels are cool, and I keep seeing synchronicities of squirrels. I'm not sure. I think it's like a sign to sort of myths that like it's sort of like a sign to like the work doesn't need to be serious, like so serious. You can like kind of be playful and work and live life at the same time. There's like that balance. But yeah, so squirrels. Um, what else have I seen? 4-4. Yeah, a lot of fours. 7-7-7. Like I was looking at uh, a video the other day and I liked it, and it was the 770th light, and then it had 7 dislikes, so it was like 777. I see 777 a lot as well, which is one of my favorite numbers, so that's cool. Um, anyway, yeah. So I wanted to talk about what I've been kind of feeling called to do. Like, I think it's important that we sit in stillness, and it's because this matrix that we live in obviously conditions us to always be doing stuff, right? We always have to be doing stuff, and it's no one's fault. It's sort of the way society is sort of designed, right? We're always trying to just survive, basically, which is sad. I wish we lived in I always wish I lived in how there used to be communities, like kind of like before the internet. It was like more community based, and you would like be like maybe in a small town, like it feels like a smaller town, and like the older days there'd be more like a community and more like togetherness. And I don't know, it's just like everything nowadays is we're all just sort of in survival mode, and we're all sort of separated and just trying to survive and always doing stuff. But anyway, so like the the reason I say I think I'm being called to stillness is because um I don't know about you guys, but I've been going through a lot of it's like up down. Like some days I'll feel good, and then some days like all this stuff comes out of nowhere, and then like I gotta process it. And I think it's just like sort of like purging. It's obviously always a continuous cycle. It's just like purging stuff, and we don't have to be hard on ourselves about like, oh, like you like something comes up and you're like, I thought I healed this, but it's like it comes in circles and it returns to be looked at from a different perspective. And then you get that higher perspective, and then you heal some more, and then you get the higher perspective, and it just like you keep like cycling through it. But it's always like this. I don't know. I just like I can never be just life isn't always just obviously gonna be happy happy joy joy. You're gonna have to deal with stuff, and that's just part of it. But like the integrating of the stuff you go through, it involves processing it, and then after you process it and you're doing all the shadow work and all these things. um I was thinking it's like important to be in stillness, right? You want to find time to, that's what I'm being called to do, I think, is to since we always want to be doing stuff and distracted, to be kind of like spend just some time sitting with ourselves and not really doing anything, just being with ourselves. No distractions, just sitting there, and sort of feel into our bodies and just let stuff come up, and you know let stuff process. And we want to have a relaxed nervous system when we do this, because if we're in fight or flight or survival or stuff like that, it's gonna be harder to integrate all the lessons and things we have been learning, all the transmutation and all the shadow work that we've been doing. It's easier when you can be sort of in a being relaxed state. So you want to be like relaxed and sit with yourself. And the integration is just like all these lessons and energies that you've transmuted, and things you've looked at within yourself, illusions you've taken away, things like that. They all sort of integrate into back into you, and you feel like this lightness. You feel better. You gain new insights, new wisdom. But it happens when we're sitting still and we're just not really doing anything. We're just being with ourselves. And you feel like sensations in your bodies, thoughts may come up, but you just sort of let them pass and you just sit with them. And I think that's like really important, because it's like God and the divine are our bodies. Just like how this reality works is super magical. It's crazy because you just sort of you sit with yourself, and then everything kind of happens on like a subconscious level. It's like your subconscious is processing things and rearranging things, and God's like moving things, like doing things, and like it's like this whole thing that just sort of happens, and you don't really have to do anything. You just have to be relaxed and find time to sit with yourself and just be with yourself, and let these things, let whatever needs to happen happen, right? So I think I've been being called to like be in stillness, spend some time just doing nothing. um, yeah, I think that's like really important right now. But yeah, So I wanted to talk about attachments to things that happen to us. Like for instance, I got sort of triggered today. I I was in the shower, and where I currently live, there's only one bathroom, and so I was in a good mood. I was having a nice day, and you know, it's not like I take forever in the shower. Like I'm doing my thing, right? And I get out, and then someone makes a comment like, "Gosh, are they gonna get out of there soon? Why is it taking them so long? They take forever." And it's like as soon as I opened the door, I heard it, and I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it just sort of made me feel bad. And then I ended up snapping back at them and saying something, uh, and it wasn't it was sort of reactive, um, which I recognize that's like a wound within me, that not really feeling like, I think it's like a childhood wound within me, because it's always been like that. It's always been kind of negativity, and always just like I never got any positive reinforcement. It was always what I was doing wrong, or why are you doing this, or it's just like this negative energy, you know. And so I ended up saying something, but I'm proud of myself that I did say something, because normally I would just sort of take it, but I did sort of snap back. And the only downside it was a little reactive, and that's when I would talk about attachment. Um, if we can take before we Because there's a tendency when we have wounds or trauma or things within us, that it sort of brings up things from the past, or like patterns or things we've gone through that kind of hurt us, or like stuff like that. There's a tendency to kind of want to react right away. Just sort of happens. And when that happens, excuse me, when that happens, you can recognize that that is pointing to something within you, um, that, you know, it's still like a sort of a tender spot, and you may need to like journal or look at that some more, because I notice that is, yeah, it's just like, I think it's from childhood, and really feeling like, um, never really feeling like I was seen or just like appreciated for who I was. It was always, what I was doing wrong, or just always this like negative energy, which um, I really can't stand anymore. Like, I I just can't. I know it's like the demons or the entities that are like working through them, because um, they feed off negative energy, right? They're like they'll try to trigger you to get you to react and be on their level, and sort of feed into that like energy dynamic. Uh, and then they'll say like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" That's what they ended up saying. "What's up with your bad attitude?" I'm just like, okay, yeah, yeah. And I know that's like a projection from them, because um, while I recognize that, yeah, it is sort of, I guess, frustrating if you have to use the bathroom and you have to wait. That is sort of frustrating, but like they're sort of projecting their negativity onto me, instead of processing it within themselves. They're saying it out loud and trying to place it on me, and it's not my emotions. It's like they need to process that themselves, right? You know what I mean? So that happened, and it made me think about like when these reactive states happen, we want to sort of try to wait a few seconds, that's when awareness comes in. You sort of wait before you react, and you can react from a more like conscious state, and you can say what you need to say. And if you feel like you have to say something, then say it, because um, you know it is a good point that I've noticed that we've been kind of conditioned to, it is sort of like a narcissistic society, right? Like, people project on to other people, or they'll say like negative things, and then you'll like you'll have a reaction, and then they'll be like, oh, what's wrong with you? Or like, they don't expect you to like say something. They expect you to just take it, right? And yeah, like, we are allowed to respect ourselves. If you respect yourself, that doesn't make you a bad person, that doesn't make you a villain, that doesn't make you anything. It's um it's it's like you're a divine creation. You are divine. You are regal. You are royal. You are majestic. You don't have to like take these these narcissists, you know, um, you don't have to take their crap, basically. Uh, it's not just narcissists, though. I'm just using narcissists as an example because it is sort of prevalent nowadays, I think. I'm not, it can be sort of a trap to always label everyone as narcissists, but there are a lot of narcissists, and it is sort of like, I don't know, it's just like good people get walked upon, and because of their hearts, and it's because they don't stick up for themselves, and like there's like a there's like a pattern of that reoccurring theme, because you're like scared to say something, and then they just take it as weakness, and then they keep repeating it because you haven't broken the pattern, right? And so yeah, usually I would just, I don't know, like, I'm trying to be less reactive, and that's where the the detachment comes from. You sort of wait and you just sort of sit with that before you react. If you like feel like reacting, just kind of tap into your awareness, and just give yourself, take a breath. If you feel something like triggering you, and you're like, you want to say something, you want to do it from like a conscious state, not a reactive state, right? So you're gonna like take that breath, and then just let it feel it for a second, and then gain your composure, and then you can say, from there you can say what you want to say. But usually, if you feel like, if you have sort of a reaction, it's pointing within you. It's some sort of wound, and I saw that today. I'm like, damn, yeah, that made sense. I'm just trying to be blissful, and trying to not take on the emotions of others and let them deal with their own things, because everyone's on their own journey, right? And sometimes the most loving thing we can do for people is to be honest, and to not allow them to continue their patterns of whatever. You're sort of like breaking the patterns. But yeah, so that was something like, and then like, so I was having a good day, and then I felt bad after that, and so I was like, ugh, just like had this bad feeling. But what you do in that situation is you just allow yourself to sit with it, and it's going to feel bad, right? It's not going to feel good, because they're projecting their energy onto you, and it's like I'm just trying to feel good, just leave me alone. Right? But it's like, I think it's the demons, entities within them, that feast off this negative energy. So they want you to lower your vibrational energy, because if you're in a high vibrational energy, you're untouchable. You're just like, you're vibing, you're good. And so that's why they make these remarks, and they try to bring you down. And it's because um there's like, they feast off that negative energy, and then there's like also some people that are like addicted to chaos. They're trained for chaos, negativity, and things like that. and so they project that out onto others. And yeah, so like if you're feeling down, you just sort of have to, what I ended up doing was just, I recognize, okay, you got to recognize when you're going into like a spiral, when you start like overthinking, or you recognize that you're having these thoughts, these emotions. You're like, okay, recognize what you're feeling. You're like, okay, in this moment I feel frustrated, I feel kind of bad, and you recognize that, and you don't form an attachment, right? You recognize it from awareness, and then you sort of, you're like, okay, I'm gonna sit with this, I'm gonna let this flow through me, I'm gonna process it, and then I'm going to move on, right? And it's a lot of the time it's better just to sit with it. Well, always. I mean, you always, I guess you can't always at the moment, but if you can in that moment, it's better to sit with it, because if you don't process it, it can snowball into something worse, right? Like you'll start thinking all these thoughts, and then you'll feel bad, and then that will loop into like other things. If you feeling like these bad, you may develop bad thoughts about yourself in your mind, and that leads to other emotions, and it's sort of like this, it snowballs into something bigger, right? And that may carry over to the next day, and then you start feeling resentment towards them for the comment they made, and then you start kind of, that's when you enter their game, right? The negativity, the lower vibrational energy, and you need to like break that cycle, right? And the best way to do that is to, when you're feeling something, is just to not resist it. Um, you have to surrender to it, and it's going to feel bad, and it's not your fault. It's not always your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, and it's unfair. But if you can process it, because it's like, it's the energy, and also sometimes it's triggering a wound within you. And, you know, by feeling the emotions and processing it, you're lifting that burden from you. You're not going to have to carry it with you. And so, and at times you are slowly like integrating shadow parts of yourself, because you're like, okay, I got triggered by that. Why did I get triggered? You can ask yourself, and then figure out why that happened, and then try to do better if the next time you run into that same situation, right? It's just like a slowly continuing journey of, you know, learning, I guess, evolving, ascending, these transcending the 3D into like the more like, higher realms of consciousness and awareness, and um, groundedness and peacefulness and bliss and love, and just like being our true authentic selves, and not taking on the projections and negative energy of other people. But we do that by processing emotions. So yeah, when it comes up, you just sort of have to sit with it and let it flow through you. And it felt bad for a while, and I just sort of sat with it. And you know you can ask yourself questions like, okay, I noticed this, maybe that's pointing to this. But you don't really have to think. You can just be with yourself, and give yourself love, and you know accept how you're feeling. When you try to resist how you're feeling, then you're suppressing it, right? And that's what a lot of people do with distractions, and always doing. They're suppressing how they're actually feeling, and by doing that, they're making it worse. And um, like with uh, trauma and emotions, energy and motion, you want to let emotion flow through you and out of you, right? You don't want it like stuck in your body, stuck in your like your energy. Like, you want to process it, and so you just have to sit with yourself. And I mention trauma because trauma is, a lot of the time, it's just energy that's stuck. It's like things that happen to us, and then that energy, those events get like I don't know how it works, but it's like stuck in our energy field, stuck in our body, stuck in our fascia and our muscles and our tissues and just our energy. And um like with there's the I forget what it's called. It's some sort of stretches that you can do for like they help release like just supposed to help release trauma from your body. And sometimes I've like stretched certain parts of myself, and um just the parts that feel kind of tense because it's that energy and that's stuck, right? It's like stuck inside of us. And when we like stretch, and then it sort of like releases it, and then you feel all this emotion like rush into you, and you just start feeling like all these emotions out of nowhere. It's crazy, which tells me that yes, energy does, emotions get stuck in our body if we don't process them, right? Which is why we want to surrender and let them flow through us. Because when you let it flow through you, you'll feel much better afterwards. You feel like this, okay, yeah, that happened, and now I can bring myself back into the present moment and continue on, right? Like I felt bad, and then I sat with it and I let it process, and just spent time with myself, and I wasn't judging myself. I was just accepting what I was feeling, the acceptance of it. And then by doing that, it it went away, it dissipated, and then I could focus back on, you know, getting back to my like being with my own energy again, right? Because you sort of like take on their energy. If that made sense, it's sort of like it's like an energy exchange. They kind of like put their energy on you by like, I don't know. This reality is crazy. I'm still trying to. I'll never figure it out, but I'm just sharing my insights on. It's just like this reality is crazy, and crazy in a good way too. Like life is amazing. It's magical. That's what I mean. Magical, not crazy. It can be crazy at times, but it's just like magical how this whole reality works. It's like there's a bunch of different theories. No one really knows the the true truth. There's like perceptive truths, but it's like yeah. So I'm just sharing mine. Um, but yeah, it's like they project their energy onto you, and then it just sort of like it's on you, and then you just have to like deal with it, which kind of sucks. But I feel like it helps you grow a lot, and then the next time that event happens, you're not so you may still react to it. And that's fine. You don't have to judge yourself. You still may react to it, but you get better each time, and then eventually you're just like, get that out of here. You know what I mean? The demons are like you're being all whimsical and happy, and you're just enjoying your life, and it's like triggering all these demons that want you to be down and sad and negative. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, we don't always have to be happy either, right? Like, I was watching a video and they made a good point about like negativity, like, sadness and stuff is like part of life as well. Like, we don't have to always, be happy. Things will make us feel different emotions. That's just the essence of life. That's the different colors of life. It's just a part of life, right? Like, it's okay. You don't have to. A lot of the time, I feel like we want to beat ourselves up, and we judge ourselves, and we tell ourselves, no, you should be feeling this or feeling that. But it's more about this surrender and letting everything sort of flow through us, right? We're just sort of like a conduit for the experience of life and everything that comes with that. And through that, though, it's more vulnerable, but like, and it feels scary, right? I know it's like scary to step into that, but it's this like vulnerability, but there's also this openness and expansiveness, and you're not so constricted, and you just kind of flow with life. And I feel like that's how it should be. And you know, I just think about how life would be so amazing if we were all just our true authentic selves, where we're being our authentic selves because God made us in to be love, joy, peace, unity, and then somewhere along the way, like sin and demons, however you want to frame it, um, we all just sort of have fallen down into this state that a lot of people are in right now, where we've kind of forgotten who we actually are, that we are souls in these human bodies, and we are divine creations of God, and um, we're our natural state is actually like abundance, peace, joy, happiness, love, and it's not forced either. It's just this natural. It's our natural way we were created, and our ego gets in the way, and our trauma, and like the things that our mind does. The mind is very tricky. Because I feel like the mind is good at making illusions. Like we sort of identify with our thoughts a lot. I notice we're not the thoughts themselves. We're the awareness. We are the awareness, the consciousness, right? The thoughts just kind of flow through us, but when we identify with them too much, then we take them on as identities and we form attachments, right? That's attachments. So if someone triggers you, and then you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm this and this and this," and you form an attachment to what they did and that emotion, and then you form identities around that, you're putting chains on yourself. You're limiting yourself, right? And it's very tricky, and it's very hard to notice all the time. It can just sort of happen, and we don't really notice. And that's it's just like this constant um, coming back to yourself, right? Loving yourself, come back to yourself, love yourself, accept yourself. You are whole and complete as you are, and that's the illusion. Is that there our egos get in the way. We form all these identities and illusions and things in our mind and thoughts. But once we start to strip those away, we see who we truly are, right? Our authentic selves. And from that state, we're we're operating in like the higher vibrational frequencies, um, instead of these lower vibrational frequencies like fear, greed, envy, lust, jealousy, hatred, um, things like that. These lower vibrational frequencies that a lot of people are on. Once you can go within yourself, right? Go within yourself, and you need to go within, and that's where you discover who you are, and you start to you start to gain back pieces of your soul through the shadow work that you're doing, through the transmutation, through the alchemization, through prayer, and through spending time with God, through reflection, through loving yourself. There's like all these things that sort of add on to each other. And that's, that's what a lot of people are going through right now. A lot of the light workers are doing the inner work right now, but there's a lot of people that aren't, right? Because the Matrix has us sort of chasing all these egregores, which are basically like politics. It's like a group. It's like a energy that gets behind like a group identity, and then they'll tell you what you should think or how you should be or what you should say, how you should act. It's these egregores that can people get lost in because they form their identity within those, right? Like the two political parties, they're egregores because people they think they give up their self identity to be a part of something bigger, but because there's all this energy that is behind that um, idea or construct, right? And so people join into it, but in doing that, they actually can lose touch with themselves, right? They're giving up themselves to be part of a like collective energy, like a collective identity, right? And that's a trap as well. So like it's just really hard these days, and if you're doing inner work and you're like working on yourself, I understand. Like today, I got a little. I noticed I got something some wound within me was like triggered, and that's okay. Like, we don't have to beat ourselves up about it. We don't have to feel bad about it. It's just a part of life, and there's always going to be people that sort of don't understand you. They sort of judge you. They project on you, and until we all come back to God and our true divine nature, that's just going to be something that happens. But it's not. It doesn't define your worth or who you are or how much God loves you. And you just have to keep that in mind, and you have to love yourself, respect yourself, you know? And yeah, it's just enjoying life, and life is serious at the same time. Serious, but at the same time it's not so serious. I think we overcomplicate it. I just think that like if we were all united and like our true authentic selves, like how amazing life would be. And it's sort of like we're our minds have been poisoned. It's like that's kind of like what sin is. It's like a poisoning of the mind, and like delusions, and like these these behaviors and thoughts that sort of take us away from our like true authentic selves. How God made us to be. And so yeah, it's a process, that's for sure. Like I was feeling like I always feel like I'll have days where I'm feeling just like on top of the earth, like I'm like flying through the clouds, and then there's days and I'm just like, dang, what is this? But it's it's just like accepting it and processing it, right? Sit in stillness, be with yourself, and like these let your body, your nervous system, your mind, your heart, and be with God and the angels, the divine, and sort of like process it, and don't let it like consume you, right? Don't let it get stuck in you, and you let it flow through you, and then you move on. And yeah, that's I just wanted to share that experience because um I know it can be challenging to um deal with people who are operating in these lower states of consciousness, and they're sort of unaware. And I think personally it is like demons and entities that are working through them. They like feast off the negative energy, and that's why so much nowadays is negative, because that's why they blast the fear propaganda on the news and stuff. It's like this it's like our world's been taken over by like this demonic like negative energy. I don't know. But yeah, so just try to love yourself, and just it's unfolding with time, and you don't have to put pressure on yourself. There's nothing you really have to do. If you can just spend time with yourself, do shadow work, do journaling, do affirmations, love yourself, do things you enjoy, um, and especially go within yourself, because when you go within yourself, you're going to uncover who you truly are. And it's a really it's a magical experience, because who you think you are, if you're in the ego, if you have things that you're working on, they're probably not true about you. You're probably very, very unique and amazing, and you're a lovely person. And like I used to be really hard on myself, and um, I didn't really have much worth, and I thought I was like this terrible person, and like I didn't think I was very interesting. But like as you kind of uncover your true authentic self, you're more in touch with like your multi-dimensionality. You're like multifaceted, like a diamond, right? You have all these different like archetypes and parts within you that sort of can get lost, and you sort of like reclaim these parts of your soul, and you figure out, oh, I'm beautiful. I'm a lovely person. I have good qualities. I didn't know I could do this, and I'm doing this now, right? Like it's sort of um it's getting rid of your old self and uncovering your authentic self, right? And that's where God can come in. If you don't have a relationship with God, I do recommend that. Of course, no pressure on you, but God will help you with um, everything you need. Basically, like everything's for your greatest good. It's just we tend to resist everything, and by resisting it, we make it worse, and then it gets worse and worse and worse until you have a dark night of the soul, or like a collapse, or you just surrender, like an ego death, and then you learn to sort of just be and just sort of allow things to happen, right? There's not that attachment to the emotions or the energies as much. I'm not saying like be a robot, or you can. I'm not saying like be detached from reality. I'm saying like notice when these things happen, and you take a step back, and you don't let yourself spiral with your thoughts and your emotions, and putting yourself down, and making yourself feel bad, because it's nothing to do with you. It's like illusions in our mind and our ego and stuff, that we like make these stories within our heads, and we kind of like can twist things and have a bit of delusions about things, and then it's about kind of like detaching from that and recognizing that it it's like this too shall pass, right? We let it pass, and yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope you all are having a blessed week, and until next time, I will see you later. Peace out.